Hi everyone, Soulster17 here. Let me get first like usual. And on this picture, this is not a paid video, and this is part 6. So, I made the Jason What If, hopefully. If not, then I probably just made this basically ahead of time. And I forgot to make the Jason What If. Probably the second option. So, I know it's basically not many people are watching this What If series, but I'm still making it. I don't care. I have my dog right next to me at the moment. If I have to pause, it's probably because she won't stop licking my face. So, I couldn't leave her alone in the room. My dad is not in the room and he's asleep somewhere else. So, anyways. But yeah, so let's get back into this. I rushed the ending. Pretty much. I know I kind of took up a lot of the whole entire planning and give it basically like a 2-day thing. It kind of seems like I made Shoka basically just like a Russian character into it. In a sense, yes and no. I kind of did rush her into it, but at the exact same time, I wanted to basically have way more of a pressure and a limited time limit because I think that's would be way more realistic for some of the basically palaces and deadlines. That's only my opinion. But there are some people that would have a different opinion, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. So, honest and truth, I'm basically, well, just gonna basically go over at least the fight and try to figure out basically some of basically what Deku can do to his new outfit. So yeah. So I'm kind of thinking it's gonna be probably a combination between Persona 5, basically look, and then, well, when he basically goes into his Joker form, then basically he then goes into his basically persona look for, I mean not persona look, and then basically combine it with probably Persona 3 protagonist style. I don't know. I was thinking about it, and then that's the best I can come up with. Basically, he'll have basically the shirt, and then basically the little vest, but the jacket, basically a Persona 3, or well, just not jacket, but you know what I mean. I think it's in the picture. That, and then probably because that's will be his hero costume. He might also wear a mask. So, I guess we just call him basically a rip-off version of Joker. Okay, enough of the joking. But anyways, so let's just get into this video. I'm gonna be explaining more basically this and those items that Mitsuru and Aigis are gonna give him are gonna come into play in this one. So yeah. Also, I kind of think basically Todoroki's outfit would basically, in the last video, if anyone's heard it, probably didn't really care much. So, I mean, maybe, I don't know. It was hard. It was kind of hard to come up with that last minute because I honestly didn't think of it. So let me just think of it. And I'm just gonna keep it exactly the same way. So we are not gonna have no one join in because this is gonna be mostly about like the sports festival and it coming up, or just sports festival in in general. So yeah. Anyways, let's get this started. This is part 6. So we have Izuku who gets back with Futaba back to LeBlanc's or LeBlanc. I think I call it LeBlanc. Anyways, they get back to the coffee shop. As basically he tells Izuku, he tells him the Futaba name, not Izuku. He tells Futaba saying goodnight and stuff. And basically, she says goodnight to him. So he goes up and, well, goes to sleep. Well, that's what he tries to do. He starts sighs in his bed. He's like, okay, why did that fight seem so different than the others? Which Ryuji the cat basically says, I know, right? I mean, we only been in one palace. And, well, don't you think basically Endeavor's palace / jail was a little bit different? As Sophia basically goes, normally basically, no one really fights with well, basically the jailer, but it seems like this one basically did. Well, the shadows try to, which basically Izuku nods as we have a flashback. As when the fight starts, it's basically Shogun Endeavor in his outfit, full on fire, versus Enjiro Kirishima, well, basically Jaw, Fang, basically Sly, and, well, I gave her basically Arctic. It was the best I could come up with, and I honestly think that works, really. Because she'll be mostly using her ice. She'll have more ice spells than fire. But that's for character development. Anyway, so yeah, so basically as and Sophia, as they all get ready to fight, basically Izuku starts off with, well, I knew I gave him some more personas. I knew I gave him besides the ones I, originally gave him. Basically, Orpheus Piccolo, Izanagi, Thanatos, and Arsene. I basically knew I gave him something in like the 30 range. So, basically, I think I gave him Anubis. Yeah, I think I gave him Anubis. Basically, as he tries to basically use the curse technique. That does damage, but Anubis doesn't give off that much. But basically, as well, Endeavor basically just grunts out, basically tries to make a slash at them, as basically Sly would basically take out his gun, aka basically probably a slingshot that his father gave him, and basically, hit Endeavor in the face, as that would make Endeavor look at him for a brief moment, as then as Kirishima then used an ice basically spell, which is Bufala. Let me just double check. Yeah, I believe it's Bufala. Okay, for right now, I'll change it when I need to. So, yeah, so basically that does damage. Not Bufala, I mean, sorry, Kingdom Hearts. Mibufu is basically the late one, so Bufala something. I am very freaking, mind sync of some other stuff, sorry. But yeah, so basically, when after he does attack, it's like, basically Kirishima smirks like, hey guys, I found his weakness! Ah, I was right. It's Bufala. It's kind of weird for Mibufu to become Bufala. Anyways, so, as basically Fang and Arctic, basically you hear Kirishima as Ryuji goes like, what is it? It's basically, Kirishima yell out, it's ice! Which basically that just makes Izuku smirk. And along with along with basically Arctic, aka basically, basically girl Shoka, as basically they continue to fight, as Endeavor says, it does not matter what you do, as then he activates the basically, one of the, basically, you could say, basically a skills he would have is basically Mataturda. It's basically decrease the attack of all foes for 3 turns. Which basically Ryuji would say, crap! As then immediately basically he will basically try to use the spell. Well, not negate. Trying to find it. Basically, increase. Basically, Mazukaja. Kaja. It's Masukukaja. Increase accuracy and evasion for all foes. I mean, for all allies, not foes, for 3 turns. Which basically, Kirishima's like, oh, come on now. Which Izuku would say, it doesn't matter. As then he would bring out. Well, okay. As then he'll bring out, basically, since I did make him in the 30s, he would technically have a new persona by now. And it would be Lachisa. Wait, Lachisa? Or no, Lachisi. Lachessis. Dyslexia, I cannot pronounce it right. But anyways, he'll bring out her as then basically, he'll use Bufala, which, because of basically Izuku's level and endeavors, it basically would not hit, though, because of the, accuracy for Endeavor, but because of the level, it does hit. So, yes. As basically Endeavor just grunts on pain, as, Todoroki will use one of her, basically, another ice spell, as Ryuji would, focus on probably, healing if anyone needs it, while being support, along with Sophia would then basically would attack physically. Endeavor basically would then probably use a defensive, basically to increase his defense. Basically by using Terrakarn. But, not Terrakarn. Tetrakarn. Tetrakarn? Yeah, Tetrakarn, basically. To basically nullify any physical damage that he would receive. So, basically, after that, basically Zuko would just kind of just saying, okay, this is kind of BS. As in, basically, Shoka would just nod, as she then takes out, she only has basically a weapon. Yeah, no, and basically the gun that she came with. So, her weapon would probably be a rapier, and then the, basically, gun she would use is, let's just say to be a little bit different. Just because Izuku would probably use a pistol and sword and daggers. She would basically, basically Kirishima and basically Ryuji use the signature weapons. Basically, Ryuji uses basically the slingshot of Magana, and Kirishima just uses a shotgun because I just wanted to simplify it. So instead of basically using basically a, she'll probably just use basically like what Anne would use. I would say she would most likely use basically assault rifle. Yeah. So, just saying assault rifle would do. Okay, my dog. Hold up, I think my dog's about to do her little thing. Okay, my dog is out of my room. She didn't want to stay in. Okay, so anyways. So, yeah, it's basically Endeavor would then take out one of the swords that he would have, as it would light on fire, and basically he would try to strike down with it on Kirishima. Or Fang. Not Fang, I mean Jaws. As basically he would dodge out of the way of it, as then basically he brings out the shotgun and basically tries to shoot him. And basically, for the armor, it doesn't really do much since he'll be resistant to it. So he's strong against it. And basically, he will be strong against physical attacks too because of the armor. So, in a sense, basically, Izuku would probably, since this is just me when I have basically I know probably Limmy is not at 37. But, I mean not 37, 34 level. But basically I got her up to there, so she's in my compendium like this. So then he would summon out Lily to basically use, well, Bufala. Because, well, I just say just because it'll basically be one of the weaknesses and such. As then when basically is staggered, he then basically can go to his, well, decrease the enemy attack for 3 turns, and then increase one of his allies for 3 turns. So he would basically use it on Shoka, and then basically do exactly the same thing again with Kirishima. So in a sense, basically, this is going back for a little bit. Then all of a sudden, basically, multiple different shadows basically are coming out. Give me a minute. Sorry about that, everyone. Just my dog was scratching my door, and it's like, I'm not going with her. She's not basically, I told her to come in because I'm, trying to make a video, so. Anyways. Basically, after that, he basically, both of them would do basically a double, basically, Bufu. Well, yeah, technically she'll have Bufu, or my Bufu, but it's just Bufu up because of medium damage. Because they would be at the level to handle it, so yeah. So basically, after that again hit, like I did say, basically the shadows were coming out, try to fight, they do the attack. One of them basically would try to, transform and basically try to use a longer attack, as Endeavor would basically, push them away and make them get back. As he would say, "This is my fight, not yours." Sorry about that, everyone. Dog didn't know what to make a decision of. So yeah. So, like I said, he would say, "This is my fight, not yours." As they would say, Lord Enji, "We cannot let you fight alone," basically. As a few of them are non, as basically, he will basically, block off basically them with a fire, basically, wall. As basically this would shock everyone, as Endeavor would just look at them and such. As technically this is when, they'll be able to get that stagger in, basically when he reverts back to normal, and then they do that all-out attack. As well, then after he will reform back to his, bigger giant size, basically they will then, basically keep windowing down his health. As Shoko saying, "This is taking forever. Is there any way we can decrease his basically defense even more?" As basically, as he would just summon out Limmy and decrease the attack twice. I mean, not the attack. Yeah, decrease the attack twice, and then basically, I think Kirishima technically probably would have it. I mean, at least basically the ability, or at least, basically his persona would have a skill to basically decrease the defense. I just need to find it. Okay. Give me a minute. Found it. As then he says Captain Red, basically, and then use the seal Rakuda. As then basically Shoka would then basically use Bufala to distract Endeavor, as basically then Kirishima would then use another Rukuda to decrease the basically defense. As then, basically, after basically Zuko would, run up and basically do an attack, as then, basically to use physical, basically Zuko would get hit, because it would nullify any physical attacks, as then basically then, Sophie would then come in basically and do that, and then basically she would also basically have shot off basically after jumping away, after Endeavor tried to strike her down, and basically, she would jump in, as I said, shoot basically her weapon, plasma, whatever. As basically Endeavor gets hit, as then all of a sudden 2 people appear. Well, actually 3. Basically the shadow form of Shoka, Fuyumi, and Natsuo. As Natsuo just says, "Can't believe I had to help him." As Natsuo's shadow, cognitive version of himself says, what Endeavor thinks. As then Fumi says, just be quiet already, let's get this done with. As then, Shoka just nods. Cognitive versions, Endeavor's mind. As then, basically, before they can do anything, multiple blades are basically blocking their path as Endeavor walks past them. As basically, Shoka's like, what are you doing? As Fumi goes like, yes, we're supposed to fight for you. As basically, Natsuo's cognitive, Endeavor's cognitive version of him says, yeah, just because you're a monster doesn't mean you basically have to fight alone. In which, basically, again, this shocks them, as Endeavor says, as I already told my other, basically, soldiers, this is my fight. You must stay safe. As basically this just kind of just, gives everyone a little bit of like, what the? And so the fight would just continue on as basically Izuku would then do the exact way I said last time, turn his weapon into basically Izanagi's weapon, use it against Endeavor, and, well, I think it was Izanagi. I didn't watch the last video. But, yeah, so, that's what I mean. This is how the fight went and ended. Basically, finishing the attack would basically for teamwork and such, but, yeah. Izuku just sighs and be like, after a flashback ends, he's like, that fight was really weird. I mean, he just fought by himself. Sophia, what do you think? Well, she goes, well, I don't know, but, I mean, if the shadow and the jail merged together, and he basically didn't want no one to get hurt because of him, then, doesn't that mean he would, his cognitive version of himself would go through any trial all by himself? That's what I believe. Which even Ryuji would nod to that, and saying, yeah, that should be right. Which basically Zuko just sighs and just nods. So, he's like, alright, at least I wasn't the only one that thought it was kind of weird, but I need to get some sleep. So, which basically, Ryuji and Sophia goes like, yeah, you do need to. Besides, we gotta train. He does nod, but he does go into his skill. Basically, what he can get. Basically sees the other, he sees basically his passive elements. He basically is kind of thinking, what else could I get? So he just looks in what he can basically get from his skills and such. I mean, that he's gained through his levels and such that he can unlock because of points. So he's like, wait, I got more personas in my, I should have got that. Basically, he gets it, and then he goes, XP share between them, get that. Basically, more money, get. And basically, he can get a lot more, but he's just like, for right now, that's enough. So yeah, in a sense, basically, a couple of days pass. Basically, Shoka would have came over basically to Izuku while, Kirishima's there. And basically when, Izuku, Mom answered the door, basically, she's like, hello? Which is, Futaba. As basically, Shoka's like, hi, I'm Shoka Todoroki, remember me? She goes, yes, you were basically at the party. Part of it, come on in. But she basically, comes in and such, and basically, she asks, so, where's... Oh, my son? He's upstairs with basically Kirishima. She's right, I'll just go up there. So, after Futaba says, alright, just don't do nothing basically loud. Customers coming in. She will nod, and basically, when Shoka gets up there, they hear, she sees Kirishima and Izuku basically talking strategy, what basically, what else could they do, basically, as the Phantom Thief? Thieves, along with basically, basically about the sports festival, is then Shoka says, "Hey guys," as basically Zuko and Kirishima was like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" Basically, Shoka basically is like this. Well, my dad basically explained everything to my siblings. Natsuo was having a hard time believe it, but Fumi said she knew something was up. That's my dog. And she's just grunting. I think she usually sleeps in my dad's room, so. And my dad's not there, so. Yeah. Anyways, so basically. Which basically, Izuku asked, so how did it go, though? She goes, it's gonna take some time. My brother and sister are gonna take some time basically getting used to the idea that our dad really cared for us. And that basically Toya came over and told them basically his side of the story about Mom. Which that sort of helped with Natsuo's problem with him. Which basically they both nod. And what about you? She goes, yeah. She goes, well, I'm still in the hero course. He burned up basically the form for me basically to be taken out of UA and everything. So, I'm still in the class. What about you guys? Which basically, Izuku goes like, well, besides us staying in the class, hero course and all that, we're doing pretty good. You came up with any strategy for basically for the sports festival? Well, she goes, no, not really. You think basically I can, as in all of a sudden Zuko gets a ring, as he goes like, hello? Give me a minute. As Mitsuru basically, basically says, answers saying, hello, Zuko, basically Sakura. It's me, Mitsuru. Mitsuru, I did not see the last name. Yeah, Mitsuru Kyujo, remember? What, she's like, oh, yeah, I remember. You said you guys gave me, some equipment and such to help. I mean, that was basically, that little basically, accessories, slash armor you guys gave us did help and such. Which basically goes, yes, so is Endro Kirishima with you? Where she's like, how do you, she goes, research. Besides, I run basically a company for anti-shadows. Basically to destroy them. Which is like, true. Which basically shows says, also I guess helped finding you. And basically, him. So, there's basically a limousine coming to get you and anyone else who recently joined your basically group. Which all of a sudden Futaba says, Zuko? There's someone at the door saying they're here to pick you up. Which is Zuko saying, they're here. She goes, right on time. So, Izuku basically tells Futaba about this, and she's like, she basically closed up shop early because she says, I'm coming with. So, yeah. They basically go to the company where Mitsuru is, and I guess, and, basically they're, the company that she runs to basically hunt down anti-shadows, basically in secret, while basically it's just a tech company. So, when they enter basically the office and such, she goes, welcome, and, well, you look different from basically your look in Tartarus. Well, not Tartarus. Yeah, no, Tartarus. The Night Hour. Yeah. Which she goes, yeah, I get that a lot. Which, she basically sees one other person. She goes, and who's this? Which, basically, Izuku's like, a new member. Second new member. Basically, the other one's an AI, basically called Sophia. Which she's just not. She goes, I came here. Not I came here. I asked you to come here because I have a few things to help you. This may be able to turn the tides in battles for any one of you, and since basically all of you well, minus Miss Todoroki here, which basically Zuko's just blinking on how, I'm trying to think how she knows, but then, guess. But still. She basically would just have them follow her, basically to an elevator as it goes down. And basically, in the elevator, she goes, "So, what is your name, miss?" She goes, "Futaba Sakura." She goes, "Ah, the adopted mother, basically, Izuku, well, of Izuku." She would nod. And when they, well, before anything else, the doors will open, and basically they come in, and there's basically a table, well, 2 tables full. Which, basically, Izuku's basically walking over, and it's a new outfit. 2 new outfits. Well, at least 1 outfit, and then basically because of the equipment that is in the game, I'm going by game, I would think basically Izuku's basically hero outfit, as I said, is gonna be the combination between Joker's basically look, but then have the jacket Persona 3 protagonist. Because it never showed his normal look. So I think then basically the second one, it would have like, the second outfit would be probably a, well, basically have the effect of basically a vest that will make Izuku basically be calm in battle. So, yeah. As in Kirishima basically does have a hero outfit. I would say basically, he was gonna rip up the shirt, but he feels material and it's like feels like a little bit heavy. Which Mitsuru would say, both of your guys' outfit, well, hero outfits are used for defense. Which basically Kirishima would just kind of basically blink, as then Mitsuru would say, it also works with your quirk. Put it on. Basically, is she would basically point him to the changing room as it'll be a black shirt, black pants, as his hero outfit just has like some, well, isn't canon, but the shirt's ripped, so in this one, I basically want to give him more defense. So basically, when he goes to the changing room, changing into the black pants and boots and a shirt, he basically activates his quirk for, on his arms, as basically the material's not ripping. But it doesn't seem like basically it's ripping the shirt, but it's like somehow morphing with it to give it basically like a help, like it's basically like a second skin. Which Mitsuru says, my team basically had a not such a easy time figure out how to work with your quirk with this, but we eventually did. Now, as she would basically point to, well, an actual, I would not say basically, and basically like an out, basically like a basically item that would basically just be like, just like a one basically time thing that's gonna basically take a not much time to basically find something. So I would think basically since Kirishima basically would probably have like an accessory item. He probably have maybe probably an SSC armband, but it's not basically the armband. It's basically just a patch that can go over his jacket in the, well, on his basically rebellion form. Which basically when he takes it, he basically looks into the accessories and has it as, well, it doesn't really do much. He would think. Okay, sissy. Okay. Sorry, had to. She was. I know. I just heard her basically snoring, I think. So I was like, oh no. It just gives money boost. Which he's like smirking. He's like, hey man, this gives money boost. Which basically Zuko just smirks at that. So, but I mean, he would kind of see basically there he has some. He does have basically the vest I said, but it also would have basically an accessory item that would probably grant him basically more XP. So basically, he tells Kirishima that, which he just nods. So after that, I mean, they basically when Izuku takes it, he then puts it, onto his basically equipped items, which basically will show a little bit when he's in his rebellion form. But right now, nothing. And then basically Izuku goes, so what's with the basically the outfit for the hero costume? She goes, well, the shirt and the vest basically are engraved with metal, so it's more like basically bulletproof basically vest, basically, and shirt basically is also bulletproof or slash proof. The jacket basically is to help with most things, like bullets, slashes, basically knives, and basically to protect you all around. The pants basically, well, we kind of were going to go with just normal pants, but multiple pockets seem good for you. And plus, basically the boots basically are steel toe with basically a few things added onto them. Which he's like, let me guess, anti-gravity or something? Which goes, yes. Which is like, huh? Basically my family, or the group, or my organization as you can call it, helped build IGUS. Well, you really think we won't be able to do something like that so easily? Which Izuku's like, wow. I did not think that. Which basically Kirishima's like, okay, does my hero outfit basically have boots do that too? Which he does not. Which he's like, sweet. So, basically she looks at Shoki and goes, now, Miss Todoroki, I did not know basically you were, a part of it, so I'll be emailing, well not emailing, no, wait, yeah, email basically a notice basically to Nezu, and basically sending your equipment to basically the school. It'll arrive basically in 2 weeks, on the day of the sports festival, alright? Which she will nod. So what would you like though? So basically she just would say, it'll be somewhat like canon, same like an outfit, but she would want to have like way more like items on her, basically to help out if needed. And maybe basically something to even help her out to see basically when her body temperature is basically getting too low or too hot, so she doesn't overuse her quirk and affect harm her body, which basically okay, need to double check, which Mitsuru not to that. And so basically Zuko just sighs and basically like, man, Paolo told me I had to build a new hero costume. She goes, oh, really? When she's like, yeah. Well, it's basically just tell him to grab it, and then basically go, and then she'll bring him over to basically where basically the clothing were made. She goes, well, you can work basically on adding some things to it. Heck, you can basically do whatever you want with it. Just keep basically your some basically other basically stuff away from this machinery while you work. What you will not have is like, also, what was with all the other basically items you gave me? She goes, well, most of them basically are to help you basically escape or basically to blind your enemies while you're in basically, doing your basically thing with the shadows. And well, I also basically saw you use basically a chain with a chain, dagger, and sword. So basically, she basically just tells him to open up the box now, which there was a box there. I forgot to mention. I was mostly focused on like the equipment and the hero outfit, but yeah. So basically, he opens up the box. He sees 2 daggers and a sword. The sword basically is, well, could be on his side as along with the daggers, which he's like, huh. I think the sword will work better on my back, but. So basically, he puts it on his back and basically reaches with his right hand and takes it out as he basically just sighs like, okay, how can I work with this? So yeah, Zuko kind of starts thinking, basically. I mean, he has this 3D printing basically bands with him, so he's basically trying to figure it out. But for right now, he just basically decides, which he decides to go into his rebellion form, and basically he sees basically, he already equipped basically well, basically the item that allow him to get more XP, and then basically the vest that basically, you know, as then basically all of a sudden a notification pops in, basically well, not basically storage, but basically another equipment slot was added. Second weapon. Well, not second weapon. Third weapon. As when he basically basically clicks on it, he sees basically the sword. Well, as then basically when he basically, adds it, the sword will appear basically, well, kind of basically on his back. Well, based on his back, basically it's like, he can literally, how should I say this? Imagine basically from One Punch Man that Sonic, not the Supersonic, no. It's kind of hard to remember. He's a ninja, he's called like, he basically Speed of Sound Sonic or something. The ninja basically, aside to my face that keeps on trying to fight him, that basically made duplicates of himself with speed. Yeah, that one. Basically has the sword basically around his, basically around his back, or well, behind him. But you basically can just grab the handle and basically unsheath it and then put it back that way. It's kind of like Sasuke from Naruto Shippuden when he basically has the sword where it is. So yeah, it's kind of like that. Which he's like, huh, neat. It's gonna be easier to get to now. Which basically Mitsuru just nod. Basically, when he just deactivates his rebellion form, basically just disappears. She goes, now then, you can do your thing, basically, Zuko, while basically I talk to your mother about some things. So yeah. So Zuko basically works on the outfit. He's adding a few things, basically, to the hero costume. Basically, better, basically, well, more pockets to it. Basically, also to help him basically have like a few gadgets, basically, that are, well, to help him basically special areas for them. And probably, well, he probably will basically also find basically a belt to keep, basically a utility belt, and basically put a feature for basically the grappling hook to make sure it doesn't basically ruin the jacket. And well, I think he would basically also would add in basically a mask that would basically hide him. Well, hide his face. Doesn't have to be basically like what they would use in the picture, or I think more like basically an actual mask. Like basically one that basically has like no face, just eyes, and it just glows. So it's kind of like basically Iron Man, but no mouth, basically just eyes glowing, and basically no AI, just, well, auto sensors basically to help him basically see when an attack is coming or where it is. So like, Spidey sense, but basically virtual one. So yeah. So after that's done, that did take a while. So he goes done, which Kirishima was like, huh, nice mask. Which he just says, thanks. Found it lying around. It wasn't really working well, so I basically added my own features to it. Basically, I have one thing as an alarm sense that will that would basically tell me when danger is happening. And also I kind of added night vision, basically thermovision, basically, which basically Futaba just nodded, like, well, that's a good idea to have. You should really try to work on and improve on it more then. Which she goes, yeah, when I get the basically equipment and the money for. She would nod to that. So, basically Shoko's like, so, what are we gonna do now? He goes, well, train and basically try to get better. And basically hit around basically Mementos, the TV World, and Tartarus. Which Shoko's like, what's that? Along with basically Sophia would probably, ask that too. He goes, oh, you'll see. So, for 2 weeks. Those 2 weeks, basically, Zuko basically also did his work that he had basically assigned, and along with Power Loader, basically seeing his new outfit, basically approved of it, and such. And well, basically also them training, basically in Mementos, Tartarus TV World. And well, I want to say during the second week before the school starts, basically, I mean not school starts, before the sports festival starts, all of a sudden basically Kirishima texts Zuko was like, "Hey dude, look at this." Basically he sends him basically a link, and it was basically Zuko would click it, and then it says the Phantom Thief site, which basically Zuko was with Futaba. He's like, "What the? Who brought this? Who made this?" And then basically when Futaba looks, she smirks. She goes, "So he's at it again, huh?" Which basically Zuko's like, "Wait, what do you mean who's at it again?" She goes, "Oh, just somebody. He basically is no friend of Joker's. Or, well, basically Ren's." Hold up, I'm gonna look at the... maybe. Yeah, an old friend basically Ren's. Yeah, I was right. So, he's like, "Huh, do I know him? Or her?" She basically would just chuckle and be like, "Yeah, he's a fan of ours. Back when basically the Phantom Fiends were around." I think basically Ren said his name was Yuki Mishima, which basically Zuko and Kirishima just, well, Zuko would just kind of blink. He's like, Mishima, Mishima, when have I heard that name before? Ah. Which she just chuckles at Zuko. So, after that, basically he would say, "Why is this site up?" She goes, not she, but he probably heard of basically the Phantom Fiends are back somehow. Which basically Zuko would just like look through it, as then all of a sudden, a recent basically post that was 2 weeks ago, someone basically took a picture of basically Endeavor holding a calling card, and it said the Phantom Thieves of Hearts, which basically says, which basically goes like, I don't know, it will say in the post saying, "I don't know who took this, but the Phantom Thieves are back, everyone. Basically, get ready for a change of heart." Which people who basically are, actually a part of this website that joined it were saying, "I don't know who they are, but if they can change someone's heart, then can they help me with this and this and this?" Basically, Zuko was just like, "Wow, we're getting requests." Which basically, Futaba's like, "Well, you're gonna basically need to go to Mementos and basically change some people's hearts. Now, don't you?" Which Zuko's just like chuckles like, "Heh." Just more basically, well, showing basically that the Phantom Thieves are back, huh? She would nod. So, after Zuko basically tells, well, everyone, it's the Ashoka and basically Kirishima in the group chat, basically they would just, Kirishima was like, "Hell yeah, let's do this, man!" As basically Ashoka just sighed, well, we just probably text, but like, "Of course you would say that, Kirishima." Well, she just kind of, he was like, "Well, can't help it. Seems like fun." So, yeah. And Zuko just says, "Alright, let's find out basically first request." So, that's what they did. They finally found one, basically, like, well, hearing about it, basically hearing what someone's doing, probably someone basically, her basically bugging someone, basically constantly about something. And, well, basically, about something basically then over assessing. Give me a minute. Alright, anyways. So, basically, after that's done, I mean, it doesn't really basically get that big. Not a lot of notoriety because after one request, it's going to take some time. But, so, after that, I mean, Zuko basically unlocked a few more things along with a passive basically skill, well, a couple new ones, basically unlocking. Basically, the ability to auto-regen. Not just him, but his allies, which is just like, huh? How does this work? The best way I can put it is, basically, an aura will basically go around them that will heal them of any injuries to maximum. It only will heal them basically to health, but not basically their SP.
basically, they feel their HP but not SP. Says, give me a minute. Okay, so as I was saying, basically, yeah, they basically didn't get no enough people to notice them, basically, but still, it's a work in progress. But yeah, so it's the day of basically the sports festival. Suzuku basically is probably yawning as Kirishima's like, so, oh man, you didn't get enough sleep? He was like, nah. Basically, he was thinking too much basically about this, which, oh yeah, no, I'm saying about passives. Yeah, the aura basically goes around, and basically the second one, well, basically it allows him basically to place down a checkpoint. Basically, it's some areas which basically will allow him basically to jump over to basically new places. Well, to places that there's no safe rooms, which basically this will basically bring over his team to basically where he can basically go outside of a safe room, while basically then he can just walk right into it, be safe, and then auto heal or not. Basically, just have a breather. Basically, he can just place checkpoints around for himself. So he's like, "This is passive? Huh? Wonder how it works." So basically, Izuku basically read that he has to basically place his hand on it and just say checkpoint on the area where he would like to be basically come back to if something ever happens, saying like if he's near death, he'd be automatically teleported there. Doesn't matter where it is or what he's doing. It can include in the boss battle where he's like, so a quick heal, go back in, finish off the boss. Huh. Kind of broken. But alright. So yeah, now basically Sports Festival, as I said, Kirishima like, didn't sleep much. He was saying, yeah, I've been trying to figure out basically about this, which Kirishima would not be like understandable. So, can't believe that though. Basically, after that one thing, some people basically are making more requests, which basically Zuko would not, and Shoko's like, I know. How are we gonna do this all? Which Izuku says we have just to filter out the ones that are fake and go for the ones that are real. I mean, Sophia can probably help us with that. Rushi's like, I can. Which basically Rushi's like, and I can't believe I'm gonna have to basically stay with Futaba. Which she's basically holding the bag with Ryujin, and she's like, It's gonna be dangerous out there for a little cat like you. Which he's like, shut it, please. So yeah. So anyways, after that, basically they do have Shoka, basically Kirishima and Izuku have a quick chuckle about that. So, they would basically, the sports will go exactly the same. I don't see nothing changing throughout it, besides Izuku and Kirishima and Shoka being a little bit faster, stronger, and have way more athletic skill than the others, since basically physical abilities are being affected because of basically the stats and all. And it also helps with their personas. So Izuku equipped one that basically has a good around stats. And this is basically from my compendium, so give me a minute. Okay, my dog left again. But anyways, so as I was saying, he wouldn't, equip basically Thunderbird. Because it basically the time it has basically the most basically endurance and agility, even though technically he probably has Izanagi, Orpheus Piccolo, Arsene, and basically Thanatos. For a lot of it, he's trying to basically use different ones because overusing them. So yeah. So anyways, basically what happens is the basically obstacle course, not that hard. Especially when he uses wind and lightning. Basically, I just saying what they basically are, wind and lightning, basically. Like, if he uses basically, not heavy duty, basically that. But, Okay, I'm trying to find. Well, I really forget that basically at 34 you can technically have like high level freaking basically attacks. Well, Zanaga and basically that's like the all damage, all forms. And Garula basically attacks on basically the robots. Basically, the wind attack would basically Garula would basically be for the smaller robots, but for the the zero type points, he would then use the Noga. So yeah, Zanuga basically he would use on basically one of the on the zero pointers. So basically after basically that, the obstacle course basically to jump around, basically using the ropes, easy. Going past the basically terrain, use basically a wind attack and basically just volley over. Of course, Baku and basically Shoka are gonna try to basically get first. But Izuku will get first, and his team would be in cannon. The fights, though, would go a little bit differently. Since, though, basically no one else has personas and a leveling system that affects them, the most likely chance of basically Izuku basically being hit by basically Shinzo's brainwashing would still be likely hit him, but but not by but it depends. But anyways, so counter battle, Zuko basically keeps his points and that he wins. Now, Ojiro, the tail guy. Yeah, I think it's Ojiro. Basically tells Zuko about basically his quirk, Shinzo's. Which basically, since Shinzo's in the exact same class, he basically may have not. He may have told them, but still, Zuko's like, yeah, I think he said something about it. He takes out the book and such and came up with many different ways on how he could basically improve it. And Zuko realized, remember it's basically, just talking. He can activate it then. So he's like, okay, don't talk. This is gonna be very difficult. So, yeah. That, basically, for Shinzo, the fight would go something like this. He would try to say, you have such a great quirk, it must be so, great, basically, being what may have been praised and such, basically, to say you can become a hero and all of that, and, well, trying to say, basically, Zuko had such an easy life. But the fact is, that kind of pisses off Zuko. Which Kirishima and Bako know, wrong idea. So Zuko runs up to Shinzo. Shinzo would actually kind of realize that he knew his quirk, and then technically they're on the same class, so it makes sense. So, basically he would have told them, but he didn't think basically Zuko would understand basically that what he has to do to even activate it. So yeah, so basically Shinzo have no choice to try to fist fight, and that's where the fight went sour for him. He would try to fight back while Zuko was just one side beating him up, until basically he kicks Shinzo out of the arena, which sends him flying, even though Thunderbird had only basically 18 strength. Yeah, Zuko decides to basically use Thanatos, switch it to Thanatos at that moment, and that attack basically sent him flying out of the arena. So basically, as Shinzo's slowly getting up, and like, what hit me? It felt like a truck. As then he hears Zuko says, I never had an easy life. Just because of my quirk. I didn't have a quirk at the time. I'm a late bloomer. So Shinzo's like, but how you? He goes, I worked my butt off to basically understand my power, understand my quirk. But here's the thing. There's so much more to it than basically I know. I have so much more work to it. I've not even mastered it yet. So,
basically, next time if you think someone else has a better quirk than you, and you get mad, just remember, your quirk is way more useful or way more versatile than you think. You just have to believe in yourself and don't let other people tell you what to do or what they think. As then Izuku is walking away as everyone starts clapping. So, Zenzo's basically thinking he's right, as then basically, even though he didn't get to, say about his quirk, President Mike did, and well, some heroes actually think that would be a good thing to have on with them. So yeah, everyone everything else goes like a cannon, Shoka versus Izuku. He's like, I'm gonna lose. Big time, he's thinking. Shoka. Just probably basically thinking, should I go easy on him or not? He did technically save my family. So, she's trying to think, but then Midnight says begin. And she's like, well, I can't decide now. As then basically she uses basically a blizzard, well, not blizzard type, but massive ice. Basically she would do exactly the same thing like she did to Shinzo. Not Shinzo, I mean tape guy. I forgot his name. Shino, whatever. Not Shino. Just tape guy. As basically though, Izuku basically holds out his hand and basically says Agala. But basically he basically then, focuses on making a concentrated beam of fire, as then basically he's, pushing basically that flame to get even hotter, as then basically it turns blue a bit, as it just melts through the ice a bit, just to give him enough room and such. Which, she's thinking that's not enough to basically keep him down. And which Izuku's thinking, okay, should I just surrender? No, I have to give it my best shot. So, he basically shoots out basically that, well, semi-blue basically, well, a little bit of blue, a little bit, of regular fire out, as then he jumps out basically covered in electricity, and then he just basically throws down the electricity as it, well, she basically used the ice to basically dodge. And when basically then he would basically, shoot out basically a wind blade as she would basically make an ice wall, and then it cuts right through it, but she already dodged out of the way. She basically shoot another ice, which Izuku would then basically shoot out his own ice, basically launch himself a little bit upwards, basically land on hers and sliding down. As this will go back and forth, Izuku's trying to hit her, she's dodging, she tries to hit Izuku, he's able to dodge barely, or just dodge. Which basically Izuku's like, hey, come on, Shoka, what's wrong, not using basically your other side? Which she just kind of smirks, goes like, oh, you really think I'm afraid, huh? Sakura? He's like, it's Izuku. She goes, yeah. And then basically all of a sudden her basically left side starts to come on fire. She goes, how about we end this in one last attack? Which Izuku's thinking, I am dead. Alright then. Which basically, the whole entire scene what happened, but instead Izuku uses basically fire, ice, lightning, and wind, and basically shoot basically all around his fist as the same explosion happens, but he basically gets sent flying. Shoka's still there. Without, well, some of her basically outfits burned, but not by much. And Izuku's out of the arena basically with a broken arm. He's like, that hurts a lot. I should have equipped Arsene or Thanatos. So yeah, he's taken to Recovery Girl. The arm's healed, but he has to wear basically a splint. Well, basically put his arm, basically can't move it much for a while. So yeah, everything will go exactly the same. Bakugo would fight Raka, but differently. Hand to hand at first. Basically keeping her basically hands not to touch him. When he did get flown up though, he uses basically explosions to send him back down and basically kick her basically out of the, hit her out of the arena. Kirishima basically, and Bakugo. Yeah, no matter how much Bakugo was trying to get the advantage, Kirishima did not freaking stop. He basically was trying to basically bulldoze his way through basically Bakugo explosions. Bakugo and him basically got into a fist fight, and it went on for a bit, but in the end, basically Kirishima did beat Bakugo because his quirk and such. Which Baku was thinking, did I just literally get knocked down by him? I'm strangely not mad. So yeah, so basically, Shoka versus basically Kirishima. Shoka wins. So basically, Zuko doesn't get the medal, but everything after that would go exactly the same. Stain basically attack, Ida's brother, Ida's man and such. And basically at the end of it, basically Zuko's like, man, I can't believe I lost. Shoko's like, well, to be fair, you did combine all those attacks together and it broke your arm. Which basically, Kirishima nods and goes like, yeah, and I heard you got scolded by Jiro. He's like, it wasn't scolding, it was her just telling me I should be more careful. Which basically Kirishima says sounds like scolding. He's like, just shut it. Which basically that has them laughing a bit. So, I want to say basically there's no basically palace for basically the next what if until a little bit later. But I want to say though, basically, while they're passing by, Zuko and Kirishima and Shoka see something basically to win basically a prize. And one of the prizes to basically go to an all-expensive trip to Island for basically a couple of days, maybe a week. I forget how long it was, a day or so. So Zuko just sighs and just tries it out, and he wins. He's like, I just won it basically to Island. How many people can I bring? He's like, well, you can bring it up to basically a couple of people. Which basically he just nods. He's thinking, I should bring in Ren, Ryuji, basically Anne and Makoto. And maybe my mom? Yeah, that should work. Wait, but Master basically Yusuke and you. I'll ask them and see first. So yeah, so after that, Kirishima was like, wow, man, how lucky are you? Which he just shrugs, like, pretty lucky, huh? Basically, they nod and such. And, well, after that, basically, they go celebrate with Futaba for them basically both being in final place, and they congratulate Izuku basically on not dying. Which he's like, hey, I was alright. Which Shoka's like, I heard basically from your cover girl, you nearly basically broke your arm, but you fractured it in 3 different places. He's like, true. So yeah, so that's the end of it, everyone. It's 4:21 here. Basically, that's at night. Well, at night. So I'm gonna get going. I'm probably gonna upload this after I made the Jason what if, or if not, then I'm just gonna upload it. Also, in 2 days, I'm gonna try to basically do some other what if. Well, continue it on. So hope you guys basically like this what if and have a nice day, night, wherever you are. Bye.